Hello, everyone. It's Annette. This is In the Know 360, bringing you unfiltered stories, game, and exclusive drops from the next wave of stars. And now you're locked into In the Know 360, where real conversations meet raw talent. Let's go. Well, good evening and welcome to In the Know 360, show hosted by me, Annette, the warm-hearted warrior diva. This show gives you insights on the journeys of high-achieving business owners and music artists who share with the audience the importance of building a strong community of like-minded individuals on the road to greater success. And this evening, I'm honored to have the pleasure of welcoming Coach Cornell Ward. Yay! How are you feeling tonight, sir?
Pretty good. I'm pretty good.
Well, thank you so much for joining me this evening. Um, and the first question I have for you is, who is Coach Cornell Ward?
Coach Cornell Ward is a young man from South Central Los Angeles in LA, born and raised, uh, grew up there, from the community, went to school there in that area, but went to several schools actually. But uh, that's Coach in a nutshell. And Coach, and I never knew that I was really going to be a coach. It that happened to just fall in my lap after I played football, and then I lived my life in the streets for a little bit, and then the opportunity came for me to go back. I went back, uh, got out of the streets and went back and played football and became a coach, and it became my calling. I didn't know that it was my calling, but I found out that it was, and I was able to help a lot of young men uh, going down that path that I was going down, and which was a camouflage, and they turned their life around and doing well for themselves and their families. Yes.
What a beautiful story. And I have to applaud you because you guys put a lot of hours before, during, and after school hours. So my hat goes off to you. I don't know what's more extraneous, whether it's the military or coaching.
Yeah, I ran from the military situation. I figured let me get a good chance at this coaching thing, and it worked out. It worked out. You know, uh, I didn't know it was going to go the way it went, but I'm grateful that it did. I was able to help, thousands of young men uh,
Mm,
from a negative impact turn to something positive and
mhm,
moved on in life and did well for themselves or doing well for themselves right now. So, yeah.
mm. Wonderful. I love this. And as we were talking a little bit earlier, my passion is I love basketball. I mean, I love all sports as well. And I had went to school to study sports medicine and to become a chiropractor one day. But at least I got to work with the football team, with the athletic training department, which is wonderful. So
Yeah,
with that being,
mhm.
I'm
I
sorry.
went to I said I went to Cal State Northwest in kinesiology. Athletic training was one of the classes, and special adaptive PE was another, and special ed was another. All these were under the kinesiology department, these different departments. So I get it. It ain't easy. Everybody think
Nope.
they got the wrong thing coming. It was not at all. But grateful to had that opportunity.
Yes, most definitely. And it's bringing me flashbacks now because I'm thinking of adaptive PE and how we literally had to go get on the wheelchair and roll ourselves and I mean it's real it was a very interesting experience to say the least. So, okay. Let me ask you this. What was the moment when this whole transition, right, from the streets to collegiate school. Like, what caused that transformation?
Well, again, uh, most athletes are athletes and not students.
Hmm.
So I had to learn how to become a student athlete because my first go round of being an All American football player and then being academically ineligible, I went home. But when I went home, I went back to the streets. And so the streets, I had to live my life in these streets because, when you go to college, you don't have no parent fatherhood type situation around. You just turn to things that I did, and that was in the streets. And Mama was like, "Baby, you got to tote your own now," and so that's what it was. And I ended up living my life in the streets for about 4 years, and a lot of turmoil took place within that journey. And I had an opportunity to go back to college, and I remember my college football coach was Art Perkins, who was a great man, father figure to me, and he allowed me to come back, even though he knew that I was in trouble in these streets. He gave me a second chance, so I was grateful for that.
Mm. Wow, it's so powerful, impacting so many lives, coach, and that says a whole lot, you know. So you said that sports gave you a vehicle for change, right? What was it about coaching that helped you turn your life? I mean, like lives of 7,000 youth.
hmm Well, it's much more now, but
Yeah.
uh, yeah, what happens is. A lot of times you don't know these opportunities that come to you. You don't even you can't see it like that. It's just something that you go through, and now that it's almost like it's over or it's done, you can see the the after effects of how
Hmm.
you affected so many different people, because it's no different from doing something wrong, which what I was doing when I was in the streets, doing all the wrong stuff, and you can always see death. But then when I got out of the streets and went back, I was able to see life and see it in a different light. So I was grateful for that. And I mean, I coached so many young black and brown boys that went off to college and doing extremely well. And now their kids are doing extremely well. You know, I got a kid that's committed to USC. His father played for me. Russell Rideau played for me, got a scholarship, and went off to Fort Hays, Kansas, and now he came back home. He was a DJ. He uh, been doing stuff with Snoop Dogg for about the last 25 years, and did really well for himself. And now his son is one of the top recruits, and already got a scholarship, full scholarship offer to USC. So just it's just so many more stories like that that took place, and I was just blessed to have the opportunity to coach his dad and help him along on his journey, like somebody did. Somebody painted it forward for myself when they didn't have to. You know, I mean, I was a troubled kid. I was a good bad kid, I call it. But being that I was the way I was, my coach still didn't what he didn't give up on me. He didn't cast me to the side of my ice. He didn't throw me out. He just said, "Man, as long as you leave the streets behind you, got an opportunity to come back." And so I did. I took that opportunity, and it worked out.
Wow, that's such a powerful, like turnaround for you. I mean, literally a 360. Looks like, hi, how are you doing, Terry Cardi Sr.? He's here. And
But,
he says, that's Leon from Snowfall. That's funny. I was just looking at that clip right before we
oh,
got on this live.
yeah,
Well,
that
thank you.
that
Thank you
is.
for that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that? I know that you and, I mean, that's, yeah, sure. Why not?
You know, uh, uh, I had the opportunity to talk with John Singleton before he passed away, and before Snowfall even came out. And he asked me to send some headshots and photos of myself, and so there's a lot of photos that you see of me, and that actually looks like Franklin, the star of the show. Actually, my photos when I was his age and younger, with the hairdo and the jewelry and the suits and all that kind of stuff. We kind of favored each other, and so Leon, which was Freeway Rick's right hand or left hand, uh, he kind of showed the compelled story to say that, hey, that was his guy, and I was in that type of role with Rick Ross, and so to get in that game and get out, um, was nothing but a blessing. Because most of the guys either died or went to prison, and while people thought I was in prison, I had got out, went back to school, and believed that I could get it done, and I did. So I was grateful for that.
Mm. Wow, I don't even know how to frame this question, but just the intensity, right? Because of course you have the adrenaline rush during, like, for instance, a football game versus out in the streets. I mean, it's they're both
Yeah,
adrenaline rushes, but one more lethal than the other, right? Well, I don't know. A concussion could be lethal too, but to say the least. How did you, I guess, maneuver? You said 4 years. That's
yes.
a tough. Was there? Could you, like, maybe give a rundown or a game, a play rather?
But I mean, yeah, I mean, it all happened because uh, I was a preseason All American, and my coach came into the locker room right before the first game of my sophomore year. We were supposed to have a really successful season, and he said, "Hey, uh, the printout shows that you're ineligible." And I was like, Coach, no way, I'm not ineligible. You had to have 24 units, and I had 23 and a half units. And I said, it's got to be a computer error. He said, and that was the early 80s. So, that's
Right.
when they were utilizing the computer systems. And so I went back to the hood, in shock and disappointed. And Rick saw me and he was like, hey, man, aren't you supposed to, be at your game? And I was like, man, I screwed up. He said, man, come with me. We were on a journey. And I didn't return back until 4 years later. But within that journey, you know, yeah, the violence, the guns, the drugs, the women, the lifestyle of really death was all around and about in me. Um, and I wouldn't, and so when I returned and made All American again and became a football coach, that was the story that I would always tell these young fellas because it doesn't belong to me. It's for me to give to somebody else. And I think once you understood that everybody has a gift, but it doesn't belong to you, it's for you to give to someone else. My coach gave it to me, and I turned and give it to them. So they would have a chance because it only gotten worse. It's almost like it is today. Right now, I'm. Someone asked me to write a book, said from the hoods to the mayor's office, because I do work for our mayor, our Karen Bass now here in Los Angeles, and I tell you, it's just a heavy burden on the city because of gun violence. And we have so many young people dying every day, all over throughout the city regarding gun violence. So I'm a strong advocate for peace, reconciliation, forgiveness, and because I've had a long history of the community, there's so many guys that I know that are in that lifestyle that will at least have a conversation with me to say, hey, man, you know what, Coach, you right. Uh, we'll go home and play defense. And what does that really mean? That means that we're not going to go over there and shoot nobody, but we ain't going to let you come over here and shoot us either. And if I can get them to that agreement, at least it can bring about some peace and some understanding to make another step forward. So, yes, that's what I do on a daily now.
Hmm. How do you, I guess, mitigate, right? Say, for instance, athletes are in specific gangs, right? Like whether it's the Crips or the Blood or what have you, and they're on the same team. Like, have you ever ran into instances where there is
Y-
like a debacle? I mean,
we've dealt with that in a number of ways. One is when they understand the respect factor of the coach. I happen to be the head coach, and I understand the lifestyle. I understand the community. I understand the relationship. I have family members who are in the Crip gang and in the Blood gang, and so I'm able to share some things with these young men that they relate to, and then they can see and feel and understand what the end result can be. And that's either death or in prison. Sometimes, getting shot and not dying, but you can lose your career if you plan on going forth in this game called football, and being a student athlete. So I was able to get through to a lot of them. I did not uh, uh, get to all of them. You know, lost a few kids to death to gun violence, because of the things they chose they wanted to do, even though they heard the story. The key is, as a coach, as a mentor, as a man of God, we still got to speak life into a dying circumstance, no matter what that is, and hopefully that these young fellas uh, get a understanding or have an understanding that we're just trying to help them make a better choice in a tough environment, because in the environment that they live in, it's unstable. It may be dysfunctional, like mine was. Like I said, I have family that is in both gangs in the same community, and so you got to go home. There's a threat. It's like you need safe passage to get back and forth from school. Now that ain't even including having an issue with law enforcement. If they believe that you are part of the dope selling, you're part of the gang, or you're part of the community that's having issues. So there's a lot that these kids or these young men have to go through, and still have to maintain what grade point averages. You know how they eat, and the nutrition, their well being, the PTTS. I mean, there's a lot of mental trauma that turns into mental illness. We ain't even talked about that part of it, but those things are viable. They're real, and they should be taken into concern when you're dealing with a student athlete,
mm,
right? Anyone for that matter. Uh, but that's just why how most of them have to go through a lot of these type of traumas, and it ends up like that.
wow. Yeah, it's really interesting and and I'll get into the whole Kedren's Head Start and community work that you're doing. Um, I guess before we move on to there, how did you build trust, right, with the youth, especially when they feel forgotten or written off by society, like you mentioned?
Well, most young people who are in that environment, real recognize real. I mean, it ain't. I couldn't sugarcoat what I've done. I just had to lay the law down, let them know that this is what I've been through, this is what I've overcome, and if you facing any of these particular situations, there is a way out, right? And you have to have a roadmap. You have to have a plan of action. You have to have a short term goal. You have to have a long term goal. You have to have forgiveness. You got to continue to keep loving, on your folks, in spite of them doing you wrong. So there's a lot of things that has to take place, and most importantly, you can't do nothing without God. So
Mhm.
you know that's key.
For sure. Yes, most definitely. Um, so what's your advice, right, to young person that's surrounded by negativity and doesn't see a way out?
Well, uh, the things which are seen are temporal, right? And the things which is not seen is life eternal. So I would speak life into that young person and intercede on his behalf, her behalf, or his behalf, the family behalf, the community behalf. It's it's getting a family of folks to care about someone in these tough times, because a lot of times these babies, they only see one way out, you know.
Mm,
And it's a do or die for some of them because of the condition. Because just think about it, where is it that a child or a young boy or young man can say where he gonna live and stay and what he gonna eat and what he gonna wear, and he don't have the wherewithal at that age to take care of himself, until he's what, forced to take care of himself. And so a lot of them are in that state, or in that surrounding, and what happens is they develop additional skills that are like, not like the world would like it to be. You know,
mhm,
so they pull on different traits. They become a hustler. You know, they want to be a baller, and then that stuff becomes greed, and it becomes malice, and it becomes evilness, and then it becomes wickedness, and then now they start killing each other, and you see a lot of that now. We got a lot of black on black crime, and a lot of times the condition is, why are they doing it? Right now it is definitely trauma that turned into mental illness, and now they can't even see somebody who they grew up with as a friend any longer. They see that friend that they grew up with as an enemy, and it shouldn't be, but that is one of the root causes of what has transpired and took place. Now, mind you, it's so much bigger than these babies. Why? Because, I mean, you can't grow cocaine in the hood. You can't grow heroin in the hood either. There's other stuff that they do that come from third world countries and right over here, and they give it to our poor babies who they know are struggling, who they know gonna try to do what they got to do to eat or to.
mhm.
And this is a result because they haven't stopped building prisons. They still making them. It's big business, it's big money. It's a machine that they never gonna stop from happening or cut it off. But so we as coaches, or we as men of color, men who are trying to help save these babies from themselves, because that's how I know that. For me, I couldn't save me from myself. I know that it was God who saved me from me. So I utilize myself as an example or a testimony to these younger fellas and these young babies who don't understand. Hey man, I was like you too, but there is a way out, and you got to trust the process. Yes, is it easy? No, it's not. But you got to believe, and you got to have faith, and you got to stay persistent. You got to stay consistent, and you got to know what it is you want to do.
So true. Um, there's so many services, right? And there's so many literature and studies and what have you out here, coach. Do you think it's the lack of resources or the lack of education that's put out there, or maybe just the individual that still needs to get through the hump?
Well, it's a combination of of all of that, and I say that because when you look at the board of education, when you look at a teacher or an instructor, how many instructors are really going over and beyond to save babies who are living in dysfunctional situations like that? When they come to school, they can tell if a kid is high. They can tell if a kid is a hustler. They can tell if a kid is being abused. So a lot of teachers don't even want to get involved in that process. They just want to be able to take care of their responsibility of
Yeah.
just to be able to teach. But what if a kid like me was coming into your classroom? One, I'm hungry, right? Two, uh, I'm not educated, and I don't even. I'm in a shell. You know, I won't speak. I won't talk. You can't put me in front of the classroom to be the leader of the pack. So I'll always sit in the back, or I may come late because I don't want you to target me as that person of having to stand in the front because I just don't want to be in that space. But but the teacher still has a responsibility now. But who holds them to the fire? And should they be held to the fire? Because some babies mentally are not or unstable. And so their response is different when someone speaks to them with no grace or no mercy.
Mm.
Somebody, hey, we need you to do this and we need to do it now. The babies don't know how to make that adjustment. So most of them babies probably getting cussed out every time they have to make them do something. Now I'm talking about in the household. You
Mm-hmm.
know, every bad word in the book, but when you go to school, a teacher teach you different. So you're not accustomed to what's going on in the school. You in the school for what 4 to 5 hours, and you're at home 8 or 9 hours if you're not living in the streets. See, I mean, most of my friends, we came home, but we went right out the back door or right out the side door to be in the streets. And the street game or the dope game will kill everything you love. So we witness so much death at a young age. That's why our babies are really kind of numb to death or numb to going to jail or numb to going to prison. It's because they bear witness to it day in and day out. It's on TV, it's on radio, it's on cable, it's on HBO, it's on BET, it's on all of these different cinemas, all of them. And so, we up against a lot. But I always say that eh, that's why I always believe that you got to believe, because if God can do it, He can do it for me. He surely can do it for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I personally, in my opinion, I believe that they just need love, They just need a hug, attention, someone to see them, right? And to hear them, to sit down and listen. But I get it. Like it's tough when it's a lot of variables where maybe the school system is not paying the teachers, of course. I mean, they're underpaid. And not only that, but it becomes like a job when you should love what you're doing, right? And you should hopefully care, have some type of compassion. But but there's hope. I truly believe that, Coach. I truly believe that yourself, Terry, everybody on the cast, I think, is making a difference, and that's where we are, right? It's just continue to push this
And,
narrative of positivity.
and we will continue because that's what we've been called to do. And that's the only thing is that most babies, most young men don't know what their calling is. They haven't gotten into that stage. So as a coach, I just want to continue to speak life into a dying circumstance. It ain't I'm not saying that the baby or these young babies are dying, but the surrounding of where they coming from is death. I said this when I was speaking. I said, how does a child in a dysfunctional household and community know what a war zone is when he don't even know what a war zone is? He living in one. Now he go outside. I mean, we had just yesterday we had 4 people get shot and killed in 4 different communities, but a total of 10 people got shot. and it's all in the same area. So everybody is really hearing the same thing, but just from a different perspective. But bottom line is we got 4 people dead, and they're young people, 20, 25, 30. I think we had a 56-year-old person got killed. But I'm just saying, you got, young babies getting shot, because they have access. I mean, they can get a gun faster than they can go in there and buy a soda pop
Mm,
or a bag. They can get a gun faster than that, because the access. And
mm,
I understand law enforcement has a tough responsibility too, because they paid to not have empathy, but that's not all of them now. I know some really good officers who mean what they say, who look out for the community, trying to do their very best under another tough environment.
mhm,
The whole thing on both sides is a tough environment, but that's why you have to have what I call the spirit of God over that covers everything. Like you said, love does cover a multitude. You know, so it can cover law enforcement, it can cover the community, it can cover the boys. However, right now it's a pandemic that's
mhm.
it's just not happening right here in South Central. It's in Korea, it's in China, it's in Ethiopia, it's everywhere. It's in Africa. It's literally everywhere we go. We got an issue because of gun violence.
Yeah. You know, I'm just throwing some stuff out here, like, there's opportunities for the youth. For instance, a lot of the overseas countries come to America for as a student exchange, right? So you have like the student exchange, you have Peace Corps, you have Job Corps, you have these components out here that are available to get more visibility of like expanding the mind, because I think what's going on is everybody's compartmentalized. So what I've learned just from growing up in the military, I was a dependent, and then served the country. Your mind, when it's in different areas, right, it expands, and you're not so focused on the issue, if that makes sense, because you're learning different cultures, you're learning different things and how to maneuver. But that's just something I just thought about when we were talking about the whole compartmentalizing um of this issue of the gun violence and violence in general.
Well, I hear you. I know that when I was exposed to a higher education, and not in my community, but outside my community, I was in the hood, primarily all my life. And then when I transferred over to uh, Northridge University, and I got to see a different part of life, um, man, it was an experience that I would never want to trade for anything. I mean, now I had to deal with racism, you know, and it wasn't so much black on black crime, but it was still crime, you know. It was just different. And then, now just being mature enough to understand that you have to make a better choice in what you do, uh, uh, really changed the impact of how I had to move from that point on. And a lot of times, so when you having these conversations with young people, and that's why it's always good when you come up like these student athletes that do well for themselves and they become multimillionaire. And a lot of times, uh, most of the time they don't come back. So now we have to start all over again in regards to raising another generation of kids who don't know, because the guys who made it never came back.
Mm,
And rightfully so, that someone won't come back because the babies who they have to come back to are hungry and they starving. And so and you looking like the best lunch that they possibly can get, or dinner, right? And so if you ain't gonna give it to them, they gonna take it.
mm,
And so you see a lot of guys getting all these like the rappers. They and they making all this money. It's the same thing. It's the game. The faces change, but the game stays the same. Mean
Mhm.
that, hey, if it's drugs, if it's music, and you making that money, and you got all these fancy chains on and all that kind of stuff, and you live in this so-called luxury lifestyle, and you going back into the hood, that's why they're coming after you.
Mm.
Because they figure that, hey, that's their meal ticket.
Mhm.
Not right? No, it's not right at all. But if you're gonna do something as ignorant as that, then I can see why a lot of times they come back and then they don't come back. I
Mhm.
used to tell some of the guys that had it, man, you ain't got to come back. Just plant the seed. Give it to a program that that's gonna look out for the well-being of the kids. Like I'm like, my one of my cousins, he's on the production side of the movie Training Day when they did it in the hood. And Denzel Washington was the star of the movie, and I saw something on the internet the other day said that he made 23 million in that particular movie, right? And I was like, man, he made that. Am I mad at him? Not at all. But the studios who produced the movie, they didn't even put a basketball gym up at where they shot the movie at. They
Yeah.
didn't go over there and give out 1,000 pairs of sneakers to the babies or something. Just something to instead of rob the community. That's how I look at it. And I may be wrong, but I'm just saying they didn't secure something that could stabilize the community after you went over there and did your movie over there. Even like even Dre when they did NWA. Look what he just put 10 million into Compton High School, and he didn't even go to Compton. He went to Centennial High School, which is right up the street. But see, the difference and the impact is that he did it. He
Mhm.
didn't do it. Most people liked him to do it, but he did it. And 10 million is better than no millions. And I'm just saying, I'm just utilizing that as a figure of speech and a topic of conversation because that really truly happened, and it's going to benefit somebody, particularly our babies, our children, and that's important.
And that's the mindset that we should have, like and I don't even know how we could. I mean, it's unfortunate, like it would be nice to volunteer to be like an angel, give like angel fund, right? To support programs. But there should be some type of stipulation. Like if you're gonna come to the hood, you know, you need to give X number of dollars or percentage or something to like as a if you can do like a 501c or something of that sort,
Well,
right?
see,
Nonprofit organization or something.
see now, and even in that space, and I'm sharing this with you because I know this to be true, and I know this just recently happened, is that now it's looked upon as if something like that happened. Now you extorting the players or and I have a friend and he had this thing called checking in and now it's the feds and the Rico and he's in big trouble and all that kind of stuff because they were saying, hey man, he was checking them in. and uh and I would say to that is that there's always two sides to a story. you know. And bottom line, if it's going to benefit these babies, I think that
Mhm.
it should take place. Not from an extortion standpoint, but it needs to take place in regards to a responsibility to the community, to the safekeeping of these babies, so that they'll have an opportunity, you know, to one day have that opportunity to do
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, so it's a lot of things that um you know to do, right? But the first thing that we're doing is speaking out and hoping people would listen, right? Kind of like put a bug in their ear like, "Hey, it would be nice if you could help the community." Um so Do you remember the first student athlete you helped get into college? And what was that moment like?
Wow. Yeah, there were for me there were so many, but one in particular is Nate Turner. He was out of Jordantown's complex. Um, he was in another community college called Mount Sac College, and he had come over to my college, which was Compton College, to get his grades together and go back to Mount Sac. And I took the opportunity while he was on my campus to say, "Hey, man, if you gonna go to school here, man, you need to stay here." Now, mind you, Mount Sac is one of the premier top community colleges in the country, and I know it, but I had to shoot my best shot. So, I went in the classroom and sat him down and talked to him, and then told him, "Hey, man, I'm from the community as well." And somehow God spoke to him, and he ended up staying with me. Now, mind you, we got our butt whooped. We got our butt whooped. I think we went 0-10, but guess what happened? He ended up getting a full scholarship to UNLV. He played for one of the great coaches on the planet, John Robinson. Rest in peace. And then he also played in the National Football League. Played for the St. Louis Rams back then, and the San Diego Chargers. And
Wow.
then he became a football coach. He's a coach now as well, a head coach now. But it's just like so many kids that I've coached. I have here in the city of Los Angeles and other cities, I have about 30 kids that I've coached that are all head football coaches. And I didn't, I never thought that I would be coaching and raising coaches to become head coaches.
Wow.
That was a part of God's journey utilizing me because he could use anybody, but he used me. So I ain't taking no brownie points. I'm just grateful. I'm thankful, that what we are able to speak life now to generations, and then like me giving him a chance. And I got to say this because he was a rough rider, and I had to kick his butt out of practice so many times and stay on his tail and stay on his butt. And I said, man, you are one selfish kid, right? And I kicked him out of practice, and he must have called my wife.
No.
Called my wife, and I'm sleeping, and I get an elbow, like babe, what's wrong? She said, you better let that baby back on his team.
Oh.
I tell you, and I let him back on the team, right? And but I just goes to show you that things like that really work. I let that baby back on the team. He made academic All American, and
Wow.
he made All American. He made both All American teams. As a student athlete, and went off and did really well. And when he started his family, he had a daughter who her name is Raylan Turner right now, and she's a professional soccer player. She was the number one soccer player in the country. Played for UCLA. She was the young lady who headbutt the ball in with the final 16 seconds to win a national title. And so imagine if I kicked him out and he never played, and his child could have been in a situation where that would never have went on to happen. Now he has other children, but I'm just sharing with you how some people can try to stunt somebody's growth, and they shouldn't have that ability to do that.
Mm.
Somebody from succeeding, we should be about helping and supporting and doing everything that we can to build somebody up versus tear somebody down. So
Yes.
that's just one of many, though. I got so many great kids that are doing well for themselves in regards to being in the program that was not the best program, you know, in regards to like winning championships, but we won because we were living. We were speaking life into them, and they had the opportunity to finish and finish to the very end. And that's because somebody endured. They endured to what was going on, and they believed in the process, and they succeeded. I mean, I got kids that got PhDs. I got kids that got masters. I got all my kids got BA degrees. Even my own children. I mean, my babies, got masters, and my baby girl's working on her PhD as we speak. And so I'm, just grateful for those opportunities. My oldest child is deceased because my oldest child bear witness to her daddy when I was stuck on stupid and I was doing all the wrong things and I wasn't showing my child what a real man should be looking like. Even
Mm,
even know what her daddy was doing, it's just the spirit of what her daddy was doing was causing something wrong. People don't even know about that dopamine. That stuff can last forever.
mhm,
It can be a scent, it can be a smell, it could be a trigger, it could be all different type of things, and when it clicks and it's like, oh, that's what that was, you know. And that thing, caused my baby to transition into a whole different life. My baby was a honor roll student, graduated from
mhm,
college. She had a son, my grandson. He's the oldest.
mhm,
He's 13 now, but and my daughter's been gone now for 3 years, 3.5 years. But I'm just sharing with you that I can't point the finger at somebody else when I was responsible for what I did in my own household. And to me, that is still a great example of what I share when I'm sharing with these young boys. I said, man, you think what I was doing, I was gonna get away with it? No, you don't get away with it.
mm,
Karma, karma is something else. You know, it come back. Now it caused me. I mean, praise God now. I mean, I'm doing well. But shoot, after my baby passed, man, I had 3 strokes because black men don't know how to handle grief. We think we
mm,
Superman. We not Superman. That kryptonite knocked my butt to that hospital bed where 33 people were in that hospital and everybody was bedridden from strokes. But God still allowed me to get up. He still allowed me to get up.
mhm,
I couldn't feel nothing from my temple to my left toe. I mean, I couldn't even scratch my butt. My wife had to, babe, right here, you know. But I'm grateful again, you know. And so this doesn't belong to me. It belongs for me to give to someone else because it doesn't do me any good to hold something that God had given to me, and I'm supposed to give it to someone else. It's important. It really, truly is. So again, I'm grateful. I get to go out and watch a football game, and I watch all my boys, and they doing their thing, and they hollering and yelling, right? But they hollering and yelling in the spirit of the game. They not cursing a player to where he don't never want to play again. They
mm,
ain't trying to destroy him. They trying to build him up, and that's what's most important right there to me when I get an opportunity to see that and witness that, you know. And that means that, I get to sleep with a Kool-Aid smile on my face because I know that I did what God wanted me to do. But He
mm.
gets all the glory, not me. I'm just a humble servant, grateful to God. Yeah.
My condolences and thank you for sharing this story. Especially, I watched the film documentary, and thank you for sharing your story on there. And I do remember your segment, and I appreciate you for waking us up because that's what we need. I think a lot of people are still sleeping. We're in this somber state of mind, and
Mm. Yeah, I encourage everybody to go out and see the film. It's very educational. It's very sensitive to the needs of others. It's passionate. There's a way out. There's health, help, help both help in the film. So it's not a film that you don't get no help. You can get some results. There's folks that you can be in contact with that can help guide you out of a transition that you may be in. And it's multiple situations in that film. And so, again, I encourage everybody to watch the film. And there's we're working on a 12-part miniseries. There's other short films that we'll be able to do thereafter. So, I'm encouraging everybody to watch the film.
Yes, most definitely. So moving on to Kedren, right? You've been
Mhm.
with them since 1994. What has kept you committed all these years?
Well, yeah, it's been a while. Kedren is now shut down due to loss of funding, and so. But while I was there for a decade and a little over a decade, um, it was just an opportunity where I was trained to be what they call a resource coordinator and had to um, train 420 staff every year in kind donations, meaning showing them what to do and what they should do for that matter. And we had 30 sites all over the city of LA, and so I've now left that and was coaching, retired from coaching. And now I'm into ministry, and I'm into doing the films, and I work for our honorable mayor, Karen Bass, Los Angeles mayor, first woman mayor here in Los Angeles, and she happened to be a woman of God, a great leader, a fearless leader, a strong leader. She mean what she says. She say what she mean, and I'm grateful to even have an opportunity to be on her staff.
Mm. Well, congratulations, and I'm glad that you're on there because we need a really, really great role model as yourself. Um, Going back to the film, right? Okay, we talked about gun violence and the mental health issues here. What's one thing do you think that we're still getting wrong, and how we talk about gun violence, and how we talk, how, like, for instance, if a young person has access to a gun or weapon of any sort, right? What would you want to hear from them right now?
Well, a lot of times I look at it from a standpoint of understanding the consequences of what could take place. Um, for our young people, um, I had a parent just call me just last night. She was like, "Coach, I need a favor." I said, "Hey, what's going on?" She said, "My son got caught with a gun." I said, "Oh, wow." She said, "This is his first offense. He's never been, around a gun, but they said it was his, and I'm not sure because she said, because Coach, I really don't know. She hadn't seen her son because their family was homeless, and the homeless shelters would take her and her daughters, but a baby that's 16 years old could not come into the shelter. So he had to fence for himself. He had to live on a bus. That baby had to catch a bus every night just to stay asleep, just, because he didn't have no other place to go. His mom had faced DV, domestic violence, so the father couldn't know where they were, and the baby had to live in the streets. And so now he's in jail.
Mm.
How do you position to help something that's helpless? We have to find a way. We can't find no more excuses. You gotta tap into all your little resources. And if I don't know, I don't have it, I know somebody that do. And so I just hope that nobody gets tired in the stage of helping, because that happens. People get worn out. This is not a play. This is a real game. This is a real life challenge for anybody who's listening. I know we do. Like, man, you just want to throw your hands up, but we can't
Mhm.
give up. We cannot, because these babies are they're needing our help. They're needing our support, and we don't need to come with no excuse. We need to come up with a way, find a way. I look at that as Yahweh Elohim, our God who is a provider. We can do this. I challenge everybody who's paying attention, because I figure if I'm doing a little something and you doing a little something, Anita, and Terry doing a little something, we all doing a lot. But we
Mm.
can't own doing it by ourselves. We got to do it. Everybody got a role to play. Everybody has a role to play. So let's get in the game. Let's stay in the game. Let's keep playing.
Mhm. Have you talked with other folks that are doing similar stuff that you're doing there, as far as coming together as a community? There's coalitions out here that support the community and safeguarding folks from gun violence and just violence in general. Are there like consortiums? Are there events that perhaps that folks that would love to volunteer, would love to maybe even support financially can attend, right?
Yes, we
Um,
have a lot of folks that are in the documentary. One in particular is Black Men March on LA, headed by Dr. C.J. Taylor. Uh,
yes.
and so a phenomenal organization and a great leader. And so, again, we're finding a way and not an excuse. And there's other agencies that we collaborate with. And if you want to collaborate with us, there's ways of contacting us, getting in touch with us, and we will. We follow up and we follow through, because it's not about an individual. It's all about us together, unity, being unified, on one accord. And we're not against law enforcement. So if you're against law enforcement, then you might not want to uh, to deal with us, because we deal with both. You
Mhm.
can't deal with one and not the other.
Right.
So the empathy is that we all of us need support. All of us need help.
Yes, I've been it's really interesting because I just finished my tour of duty with the Public Health Service Commission Corps. That's where I was detailed or served. And I have a bunch of colleagues that are in the mental health space, public health space. Matter of fact, I interviewed one of my colleagues. He's still with SAMHSA. And so, with that being said, I have people that can come and talk or do what they can do to help, probably in advocating, for the whole mental health piece or whatever public health piece. So that I'm definitely interested in shepherding this. And so I'm excited about it because I know that it's really interesting how things are moving. So even though I retired from the military, I'm still corresponding in this whole public health or epidemic issue, because this is a huge issue that we need to find ways and resolution. Well, with that being said, right, moving on to the Heart of a Black Man anthology. Your story was featured in The Heart of a Black Man, a collection of inspiring stories from Black men worldwide. What does being part of this anthology mean to you?
Well, I'm grateful to Dr. Uh, T. Berry, uh, young lady who reached out, and I didn't really know what to expect. But after getting involved in the process, like you said, it was 30 men around the country, and the book is a number one bestseller. And we went up against some heavy hitters Michelle Obama. Hers was number hers was number two at the time. We were like six. I was like, all right, yeah, if we get close to her, we good. And then when we passed her, I was like, whoa, you know. And but again, just extremely grateful. I think my topic was, you know, 6 feet deep, but yet still alive.
Mm,
And it just talks about how one could really go through what I went through, and it felt like I was in the grave, but yet still I was still alive. And
mm,
yeah, because I was reared and I was trained to be what I was. I mean, I can remember when I was 6 and 7 years old, and I had to take the brown paper bag to the next door neighbor's house, but I would never look in the brown paper bag.
mm.
I became, older and understood that brown what was in the brown paper bag, and now I have my own brown paper bag, and uh, that brown paper bag, it killed everything that I loved.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll just leave that at that. Killed everything that I loved.
Wow, it's really interesting how a brown paper bag from a sandwich to something else can be a very um
Yeah, because right now
crucial.
we tell our kids right now when you go to school. I got grandkids now. Baby, you can't eat your friends' food. You can't have none of their candy because you got what? Meth, you got fentanyl, you got all these other type of drugs that weren't around when we were here. So now look what our children are exposed to. I had a parent come to me again. Another parent came to me, a Hispanic, one of my Hispanic parents, and she was like, "Coach, can you help me find my baby?"
Oh wow.
And I did find him, but he was laid up in the morgue because he and eight others, there was five females and three boys under the age of 18, all died to fentanyl
Oh my god.
because they all were on it in a little party session, and everybody looked like they were asleep. They were asleep, and none of them woke up. So if this is another pandemic that we should be out here.
Mhm. You know that's very interesting. I actually helped when I was in the service. A surgeon general wanted we had the opioid epidemic, and so I had to do a write up on that. Um, and it's really interesting. It's very disheartening, actually, to know that you have to have another type of chemical, a substance to mitigate the opioid, right? The OD, the overdose of that. So, but that most definitely, and then a lot of things also, like you were saying, coming from different countries. There's other substances out there um, that are utilized as an opioid, but people don't know that. Like a leaf from Asia, or there's the scientific name. I can't really. It's not coming to my mind, but we had to go through that the cannabidiol substance and such. But yeah, most definitely, a lot of people are utilizing other substances that they're not aware of, the like the dosage and such. So, but uh, I'm so sorry that there's a lot of issues going on, Coach, and we
Yeah,
definitely have to get raise awareness for this. Um, so moving on to you raising seven daughters while leading community work. Um, How has being a father influenced the way you lead outside the home?
Well, everything that I do is about family. Uh, and so that's one of the things that I know that a lot of the young men who I've coached or have followed me or been around me, they know that I don't do anything for myself. Everything that I do is for my family. And so, and that means tough times. I didn't say this was Disneyland. As a matter of fact, as my pastor would say, it's like merry-go-round, but Mary jumped off and we still going around and around. And I
Mm,
say that because uh, this is seriously, this is not no perfect situation. You know,
right.
I love my wife dearly, and I do everything that I can for my wife. And she sometimes tell me, "Boy, you do so much stuff outside the house, right?" Because that is the nature of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even when I was doing wrong, I was doing stuff outside the house. Now that I'm doing stuff right, I still do stuff outside the house. But family and God is first.
Yes.
So if I can leave that with any of these young uh, males, black or brown, that they see a resemblance of, man, tough times don't last, but tough people do. And I
Mm,
that all the time. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. So you stay with it. You keep God first. He's the one who can save us from us. And he can get you out of any situation. So I really believe that. I have the faith. I believe that. And I can't say that I have not been through tough times. I have.
mhm.
I'm grateful that I'm still here. I'm grateful for the opportunity to still speak life into a dying circumstance. And if everybody is doing their part, we got a chance.
Yes, that is for sure. And by the way, shout out to your wife, Mrs. Ward.
Yep.
I he you when you said the baby need to go back to the team, that really touched me. And wow, so lots of flowers to her, by the way.
Well, Mama Ward, boy, wife, hey, I'm
if
grateful.
if you could sit down with 18-year-old Cornell, what advice would you give him?
18-year-old Cornell, wow. Um, I would just tell him I love him. Um, uh, Tough times don't last, but tough people do.
Mhm.
That you always got to keep God first in your life before anything and everything. And failure, it is not a loss. It's a way to succeed because you know what not to do, and you can do it better this time. And so that's what I would tell that young 18-year-old Cornell. Let's say, hey, you found a way out, huh? All right. I remember that. And actually, that took place to me. I had an opportunity to travel to Stanford University with a gentleman by the name of Pete Carroll. He's the head football coach for the Raiders now. He was for Seattle. And we went to Stanford to speak. And he had a program called Win Forever, Always Compete. And everybody would think it would be about football, but it was not talking about football. It was talking about how you deal with a dysfunctional child, right, in sports. I said, do you cast them out to the sidelines, or do you speak life into them?
Mm.
And I had an opportunity to share, and nine professors, they all had gray hair, and at the time I didn't have no gray. I got it now, but thank God, right? And they said, come here, you little whippersnapper, come here, right? I said, yes. They said, you figured it out. And so basically, when it comes down to being able to have forgiveness in your heart, uh, loving on the one who spitefully did you wrong, loving on the one who talks about you,
Mm,
loving on the ones who treat you wrong, you know, and forgiving them. Um, it worked out. So yeah, it worked
yeah,
out.
that's for sure. Forgiving them and loving them from afar. Because a lot of times you don't need to be around these folks.
Got to be around them, but you still gotta love them.
Right. Exactly. Well, we're going to move on to a fun round here.
Okay.
Um, all right. So, what is your go to motivational song right before mentoring or coaching?
My go-to song. So wow, Ooh, there's probably a lot of those too. Uh, I'm not into the rap scene. So you know, I know a lot of folks listen to that part of it, but mine would be something in the gospel area. Um, but again, there's so many. Whew. Uh, hmm. Man. Which one? I'm sorry. I'm going to come back to that one because this is.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. Um, okay. Favorite sport to watch or play besides football?
To watch. I like I like the greatest catch when they're grabbing all the crab out of the ocean like that.
Oh,
Like that one. You know, I'm a I'm a LeBron James fan. I know everybody like Michael Jordan, but I'm a LeBron James fan.
okay. Uh, okay. So, one word that describes Coach Ward.
One word. One word. Hmm. Wow. One word. Savior. I'm gonna go with
Okay.
Savior.
I love that. Okay.
Hey,
I can dig it.
so
Savior. Okay.
he saved me. I'm sure he can save you. I done been to hell 2 or 3 times. So yeah, Savior.
Okay. Um, if you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be?
Historical figure. Who would it be? And, historical figure. Um, wow, there's so many in that space. Um, Marcus Garvey,
Okay.
E.W. Du Bois, um, shoot, Obama. I mean, historical figure. You know, yeah, yeah. There's a lot, but Maya Angelou.
Okay.
You know, yeah, folks that were game changers. You know,
Hmm.
folks that really made an impact and made a difference. And I say this wholeheartedly again: if everybody is doing a little something, we're all doing a lot. So you might not be able to do it like Obama, or you might not do it like E.W. Boys or Marcus Garvey, but you can do it like a coach. You can do it like a lawyer. You can do it like a manager. You can do it like a teacher. You can do it like a professor. You can do. So yes,
So true. And Terry says Jesus. That's for sure.
yeah, ain't no question. Jesus. He is our savior. Yes,
Amen.
indeed.
Um, what's your favorite way to unwind after a busy day?
Um, my favorite way to unwind is to have the opportunity to go home and be around my grandbabies, and everybody is paw. I'm the favorite papa in the whole wide world, so I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that. Yeah, I'm very, very grateful for that. That's me winding down. You know, yeah.
I love it. I love it. Um, and your favorite movie or documentary besides Put the Guns Down, a World Epidemic that inspires you?
That inspires me. Ooh-wee. Come on, that's a tough one right there. Oh man, uh, I love Shawshank Redemption. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that's one of my favorites. I probably can act every play out in that movie. Watched it maybe 1,000 times, but and I've been in a lot of them myself. You know, but yeah, Shawshank I love. I love.
yeah, I love that movie too. I was like, okay. Hey, what's going on, brother Mikey P? Salute to you, sir. He says salute to you and Coach Ward. Thank you for joining us as well. Okay. And if you weren't coaching or mentoring, what other passion or career might have you pursued?
Um, just servitude, being able to serve.
Mm.
Just doing whatever God would have me to do. Serve. I use this terminology before, even with when I'm talking to my student athletes. I say, hey man, I used to serve the wrong stuff. I'm grateful to God to be able to serve the right stuff now.
Hmm.
You know, so
Yeah.
that if you still breathing, you still have an opportunity to get it right. Failure is never the end. It's just a way to allow you to know that you can succeed because you already know what that looks like. You might even know what that feels like, but you don't have to stay there.
Yeah.
Forward.
That's so true. And always be grateful for what you have, you know,
Yes.
because we're always looking at other stuff, whoever has some other things when you already have the breath of life, you know, you're able to wake up and see the sun, right?
Mm. I always used to tell them too, because you get some of your players a little stubborn. I say, yeah, man, if you die and you feel pain, you just bust hell wide open.
Mm,
Yeah, that's right. Because the one that I serve said it's like milk and honey. She's
yes.
made of gold. So that's the good life. You don't
Yeah.
have to die. You can only just be one. To be absent from the body, to be present with the Lord.
Yes.
Not to two deaths. But you got to get this first one right. Okay?
Hmm.
That's what you should be working on day in and day out.
The God you serve, for
Yeah.
sure. Mikey P says, this is an amazing human being. I totally agree with you 1000%, 110%, sir. Terry
Like you.
Carney Sr., great man right here. Yes, for sure. Okay, well, and what's one fact about you that most people don't know about?
One fact that people don't know. Oh, man. One fact. Oh, Lord. And now I'm telling on myself now.
Okay.
So one fact that they don't know is that, man, I love mint chip ice cream, and I have to sneak it because my
No
wife
way.
ain't supposed to eat it. So I sneak me some mint chip ice cream late at night. Just me.
What?
He can't tell nobody but God because him and I is the only one to know I'm in there sneaking his ice cream.
Oh man, that's my favorite ice cream. Mint chip. Yep, me too. Oh,
Yeah,
so
yeah, one of my favorites. And now my grandbabies, because they always say, "Papa, you getting it?" They know who to come to. Papa, go get that mint chip.
oh wow, that is so funny. Um, what is there a specific brand or is it just mint chocolate chip or
Just a mint chocolate
mint
chip.
chip?
They got different,
Right,
uh,
right.
labels of which one. I love mint chip.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, with that being said, um, are there any advice or anything you want to tell the audience tonight, Coach?
Yes. Tough times don't last. Um, However, tough people do, and God can use you in ways that you can never imagine. But you gotta allow Him to use you, because He don't have to, but He will if you allow Him to. And so, my plea to you is that if we're all doing something to support, put the guns down, to help save a life, then we've all done a lot. And so, my plea to you, uh, the listeners, is let's take accountability, responsibility, and using all empathy for those who are less fortunate, uh, and give. It don't have to be monetary. Give. It can be your time. Uh, it can be words of encouragement. It can be just love. Love cover a multitude. So yes, I'm grateful for that. And most importantly, you know, speak that word to Jesus.
Amen. And mint chocolate chip ice cream for y'all wanting to donate to Coach. Okay, get you in trouble. Before I let you go, Coach, let's go ahead and show um, this here on the screen. Can you guys see it? Can you see it, Coach?
Uh,
No, if I can.
yeah,
Okay.
that's to speak life.
Yes,
Hmm.
speak life.
Yep.
So you can reach out to him here, or you can reach out to him. Where maybe I'll let you. I'll hand over the mic to you, Coach. Where
Yeah,
would you like folks to reach you?
you got my cell. You can give it out. I answer the phone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know everybody else don't do that, but I do. You got the cell number 323-400-0438. Any way that I can help, I want to help.
You're a brave man, Coach.
Mm.
People are. I hope they're listening to your number. It looks like there's been a lot of ice cream talk here in the background from Mikey P. Oh gosh, this is too funny. One love, Terry C. Carney Sr. Well, with that being said, sir, I just wanted to also mention that don't forget to check out Put the Guns Down, a World Epidemic. You can catch it in Prime Video, Google, Apple TV, and also tap in with Coach Cornell Ward. You've been such a blessing. And just listening to you and your story, your journey, wow. Um, and also, please, please, let's support the Unity for Social Justice. Let's free Monster Yo, Jay Burton, and Prentice Banks, and all our brothers and sisters that are in need of our support. Let's put the guns down, everyone, and show up, even if it's just a phone call or what have you, like Coach says, okay? And let's show love. This has been a broadcast of showing love full circle between Annette and Coach Ward. Thank you so much, sir. And
Thank you.
God bless you and your family, Miss Ward. Shout out to her. Flowers. Looks like Mikey P. Yes. Free Monster Yo, free Jay Burton, and Prentice Banks. Amen. Well, thank you so much, Coach, and you have a wonderful and blessed evening.
All right, thank you. I'm honored to have been on the show. Thank you.
Thank you. And don't forget to tap in and watch the new film documentary. It's really a movement called Put the Guns Down, A World Epidemic, produced by Ice-T and directed by Terry C. Carney Sr., director of the film documentary Put the Guns Down, A World Epidemic. And if you guys haven't tapped in yet, please be sure to go on Apple TV, Prime Video, Google TV. Make sure that you check out the film, okay? Put the Guns Down, and World Epidemic. And we need to work together for this movement. So I'll see you tonight. Annette, warm-hearted warrior diva, at In the Know 360. Love you guys. Mwah.